you, Radha. So tomorrow will be a new thing, no?
Okay.
Where you need to learn something. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam
Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye
Nasta Prashu Avadreshu
Nishaprayeshu Avadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Yam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavate Uttama Shloke
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke
Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, the creation of the fourth order, Chapter 21, instructions by Maharaj Prithu, that's 25. So far he's talking, Prithu Maharaj is talking about what the people should do work according to Varnashram, the duties. Then after this he's going to talk about that prescribed duty should be performed for pleasure of Vishnu. That's 25. Tat praja bhakti pindartam
Tat praja bhartir pindartam
swartam evanusuyavaha
Swatam evanusayava
kuruta dokshaja diyas
Kurtadahojikshadadiyas
tarhi menu graha kritaha.
Tarhi menu graha kritaha.
Prithu Maharaj continued, therefore, my dear citizens, for the welfare of your king after his death, you should execute your duties properly in terms of your positions of Varna and Ashram, and should always think of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within your hearts. By doing so, you will protect your own interests and you will bestow mercy upon your king for his welfare after death. Okay. If the king is not doing a good job, he's going to go to a lower species. So therefore, in case that happens, he wants their blessings. Because he's not in that, he's very responsible. Generally kings are like that. When we say kings, we are talking about the Vedic kings, Rajarishis. Okay? And they all are practicing Krishna consciousness those days. Nowadays, nobody is bothered with Krishna consciousness at all. Okay? So, now we are going to text 26, which is the last portion of his instruction about Varnashram, before he moves to talking about duties to serve Vishnu. Yuyam tadanu moddadvam
Yudam tad anumodadvam
Pitri deva rishayo malaha
Pitri deva shayo malaha
Kartu shastu anugyatu
Kartu sasu anugyatu
Sunyam yad pretya tatpalam.
Tulyam yad pritya tatphalam.
I request all the pure-hearted demigods, forefathers and saintly persons to support my proposal, for after death, the result of an action is equally shared by its doer, its director and its supporter. Okay, so the whole idea is, Prabhupada's point in the purport is the government should help the people come to God consciousness, otherwise or Krishna consciousness. And so here he's asking everyone to cooperate with him. Okay, that means even if he dies, they should still continue with the system he has established, the methods he has put into place. Okay, So therefore, he said everyone needed the same results. Shared equally. Text 27. Asti yagna patirnama
Asti yagna patirnama
keshanchiradha sattamaha
kesanchidartha sattamaha
ihamutra cha lakshyante
ihamutrascha lakshante
jyotsnavatya kavich bhuvaha
jyotsnavatya kavibhuva
kvachit. My dear respectable ladies and gentlemen, according to the authoritative statements of Shastra, there must be a supreme authority who is able to award the respective benefits of our present activities. Otherwise, why should there be persons who are unusually beautiful and powerful both in this life and in the life after death? So here he is fully claiming that there's a personality of Godhead in charge of why there are different types of problems of different people, why everyone's taking birth differently, why, there's no other system can explain this except the Vedic authorities. No one can explain why different types of people have different problems. Why some people are born beautiful, why some. No one can explain except through Krishna consciousness.
He's saying this for general public because he himself knows and he had seen Lord directly.
This is for now. He is saying there's a supreme authority, so they should all worship the supreme authority because he is behind all that we are getting, the reactions and so on. There is so he wants his citizens to become aware of God or become God conscious. Of course, he has made that in the previous statement. Now he's making it very as a main thrust of his points that he wants to discuss here. Once people don't follow Vedic culture, they ruin themselves, basically. They get enamored by the modes of material nature and they get confused as to what their goals of life are. And similarly, if you remember, King Vena was like that. He thought he can do anything and get away with it, so he made the Brahmanas very angry and they cursed and killed him. Prabhupada writes, atheistic men do not believe in the existence of God and thus they understand everything which is happening in our daily affairs to be due to physical arrangement and chance. So they are saying it's a chance. Atheists believe in the atheistic Sankhya philosophy of the combination of Prakriti and Purusha. So to some extent they accept certain as Sankhya, but not the person behind the Prakriti and Purusha. They believe only in matter and hold that matter under certain conditions of amalgamation gives rise to the living force, which then appears as Purusha, the enjoyer. Then by a combination of matter and the living force, many varieties of material manifestation come into existence. This is the understanding. They don't accept Vedas. So, and whatever is spoken in the Vedas, they say can't practically apply. So therefore, Prithu Maharaj is rejecting that atheistic philosophy, and he wants all his citizens to also reject such philosophy. He doesn't want them to practice in their life. Okay? So, even when the atheists say things are by chance, they really don't give you a good explanation. Right? They cannot give you, they say originally there was nothing and suddenly it exploded. Why it exploded? Intense pressure, so why can't it stay on its own? Why must it explode? That don't make sense. Just because from their understanding, everything seems to be moving away further. So that means they must all at one time must have been together. So this kind of logic doesn't really hold much water. Alright, so in the Vishnu Purana, Prabhupada writes, it is said that the entire Varnashram institution is meant to satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that means whatever our position is, we are supposed to be working.
Please Krishna.
Yes. I'm just thinking, Samsiddhi Haritosha. That is the verse. Whatever your position in Varna or Ashram, you have to cultivate the proper knowledge of how to please Krishna. Or do your duties to please Krishna. That's what he is saying here. And essentially nowadays nobody knows. They claim to be Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, like that, but they don't even know what they are. In general, Kalo Suddha Sambhava. Sudra. Kalo Suddha Sambhava. Everybody is a Shudra. Everyone who is a human being is a Shudra. Of course, some will have more Brahmanical qualities, some will have less Brahmanical or Kshatriya like that. But in general, they are all Shudras. So, we don't even accept the Mayavad philosophy. Again, Prabhupada mentions that because it is very prevalent in society now. Very prevalent. Everywhere you go, this Mayavadi theory is working, in some system, some way. If you call your friend, they will not answer immediately. They will check to see who is calling, right? And then they will decide on the talk or not. So that's impersonalism. If you don't talk to a person, then you tell them, I'm busy, I don't want to talk to you now. Because of social customs and etiquette, it has become we have to be all politically correct. So we develop all this new system. Okay, look, I don't want to talk to this guy.
Prabhu, this is so much engraved that
Exactly.
we don't even feel that we are doing that,
Yes, that's my point.
Automated.
It's become so
It's automated now.
immersive. Immersive. We are part of this impersonalist culture. Right? You call some airlines, you'll say dial 1 to this, or press 2, press 3, press 4, and then you never get a person. Whichever part you go, in the end they say, if this is not enough, you can cycle back. And then where can you get a person to talk? No, they don't want to hear people talk. So this is impersonalism actually, in different forms, but that is impersonalism. And part of this culture is because of Mayavadi. They say we are nothing. We all come from one. So and therefore people don't accept God anymore. They are part of the problem actually. So if you don't want to follow the Vedas, then you must be an atheist or Nastika, according to Srila Prabhupada. The Vedas calls us people atheist or Nastika. Similarly, Lord Buddha also rejected so that he can preach, ahimsa. Right? Because Vedas were prescribing sacrifice. They had to stop the sacrifice. Therefore, he preached non-violence and rejected the Vedas. And therefore, those who follow Buddhistic philosophy are also known as Nastika. Okay? Okay. And among the Mayavadis and the Buddhists, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said the Mayavadis are worst. They are more dangerous because they play around the whole thing. At least Buddha rejected the Vedas. The Mayavadis embraced the Vedas, but they twisted and gave their own way meanings based on it. In terms of impersonalistic philosophy, so therefore we have to be very careful. They are more dangerous.
One lecture I heard he says often that the Buddhists are worse than I don't understand.
No,
I heard it. He showed him off.
Yeah, you maybe tell me which one. Let me listen to it.
I think it's a lecture.
421.
27.
27.
21, 26, 27,
26, 27.
27.
Anyway, for us, we have been reading the Bhagavad Gita and so on. So we should be now, at least, we are practicing initiative, we should at least accept the personality of Godhead as the supreme. And everything should be based on our scriptural understanding. Now, you may not understand everything the scientists say, or the scientists may not accept whatever we say. So we shouldn't try to put both together and say it's not going to be 100% equal. Whatever Vedas say and the scientists are never going to agree 100%, because of the way they see the information and the way we see through the scripture. They see through their imperfect senses. So therefore, there's always going to be clash. And they will prove to you that, look, I experiment this is, and you also will see, and what they say is true. But it's still based on imperfect senses. Our senses cannot see everything perfectly. We can't see the stars and the planetary system. We need some glass telescope. And how you know it is perfect? Who knows what you are seeing actually? Anyway, so we have to understand that. So again, Prabhupada quotes that verse, Sunistittasya dharmasya samsivit hari doshana. So most important point is you make sure that whatever your situation in life is, that you always recognize the position of Krishna and abide by his injunction. This is like the fourth paragraph. Fourth or fifth paragraph. Right? So, based on that, then we can move forward in our development of Krishna or God consciousness. Otherwise, we will always be enamored by material nature or Mayavadi theories and so on like that. And those who don't listen to Krishna, and Krishna tells that in the Bhagavad Gita, right? The demons and so on. He says, I will cast them perpetually in this material world. Keep taking birth in lower and lower species. Right? That's how it. So therefore they take birth in lower species or in families of asuras or atheists and become worse and worse. Finally, Prabhupada says they will go down to animal forms like those of tigers or similar ferocious beasts. Thus for millions of years they have to remain in darkness without knowledge of Krishna. Of course, when you think about it, it's sad that there are people who want to be like that and suffering. So, and that's one of the reasons why we distribute books, we give prasadam, and we go on Harinam, hoping to at least soften the heart to receive some knowledge which will be an impetus for them to later on take up Krishna consciousness. Right. The Lord is always the best wisher, right? Again, Prabhupada quotes the same thing, Nityo Nityanam Chaitana Chaitana. He's always there to make sure the living entities get their needs and maintains them. He protects them and so on and so forth. So what does it mean? It means he actually...
He loves everyone.
Yeah, he loves everyone and he cares for every living entity. That's what it means. So if we are part and parcel of Krishna, shouldn't we also be caring for others? So that's something you have to think about and see how you can get that into it. I thought I was going to work or something.
Sorry, bro.
I thought you were going to work or something. So again in Bhagavad Gita, remember we discussed about duties, material duty and swadharma. Remember? Yeah. One is spiritual activities, one is normal activities. So Prabhupada says there are two kinds of duties: mundane duty and duty performed for the sake of yajna or sacrifice. So if you work for yourself, then you are karma bandhana. That is, you are getting caught in the karma bandhana. But he also says Yagnata Karmanantra Anyatra Lokayam Karma Bandhana. So when you do it for Vishnu to be pleased, then you are not going to be bound in this karma. And if you have a good leader, they will guide you like that. Don't do this, not good. There will be laws, there will be everything will be written based on these principles. The whole society will be based on that. We are in 4th canto, 21st chapter, 27 verse. Okay. So the government will also make sure, if you don't guide them, they will commit karma and they will be in difficulty. So therefore, in those Vedic systems, the laws are very easy for them to understand. I shouldn't do this, it's not good for me. Otherwise, if I take birth, I'll be suffering. So people knew that, and therefore they managed according to the regulations of the society or the government that was leading them properly. Now, if you don't have this law, then you don't know what to do. You will have to fight the material nature somehow, right? You have to go to shop, and it's raining heavily, and you got to get something. Then you go in the rain. You will go. So that's how our lives are actually, because we don't know what we need and what we don't need, and so we will go against material nature. We fight material nature, think we can control it. But you can't. Devi Shubhanama, Durati. Very difficult. Very difficult. Impossible actually. Only when you surrender onto Krishna, Tarantite. Then you can, then only you can overcome. Mamevi prapadyante. If you surrender, then you can overcome Maya. So, but if you don't have knowledge, that's all you can do. You fight. You say there's no God, so this material nature is so heavy, we have to do something. But you'll always lose. Right? Who can beat material nature? Nobody. Even if they build a big wall, after many years, if let's say, like in Beijing, in China, right? The desert is creeping into the city. So what they do is they've been pouring water to let the grass grow for 50 years now. Nothing is happening because the winds and the sand keeps blowing. So they want to build dunes, big walls and so on. But it only lasts for maybe 1-2 years, and then the sand covers that and it keeps moving. So what can you do? You cannot do much about material nature. Therefore, to try to live happily in the material nature is a struggle. Prabhupada says hard struggle for existence. Right? So we have to understand this thing. The only way you can overcome is when you work in tangent with Krishna. You have to. So it's hard struggle for existence. Right, so we follow the rules that Krishna has given, then you find it makes your life easy. It is a fact. It's not a joke or we are making some statement. You yourself are the control and the experiment. Right? So you practice nicely, follow everything nicely, you find you feel less anxiety, less distress, and you can say, I can wait until the storm is over, like that. Instead of, I have to go now. Right? Like there are some people, they have to do certain thing at that time. If not, they go crazy. Right? Because that's how they've been trained. It's sad because they cannot focus properly. The only thing that can keep them their attention is some video games. Right? The video games move so fast, they can
Divert.
focus.
They can
Every
focus on
moment they have to focus. So therefore it's able to keep their attention.
And then you get the disease.
Then some people cannot handle that and they get epileptic because of the flashing light and everything. They go into epilepsy. So how to come to this stage of listening to Krishna? First, Prabhupada says one has to clear one's sinful life.
Yes, so
Yesham tu antagata papam yananam punya karmana. Right? So we have to do that. Then it becomes easy to understand Krishna. Because if you have sinful life is generated by passion and ignorance. So the more we have these qualities in passion and ignorance, we will do some sinful life. And we cannot focus on Krishna. So we have to come to the mode of goodness. By following prescribed rules and regulations of the scripture, we find that we can focus. So therefore Prabhupada writes in contrast and in speaking against the atheistic philosophy of chance, he says the different varieties of life and material existence do not come about by chance and necessity. There are different arrangements made by the Supreme Lord in terms of the pious and impious activities of the living entities. By performing pious activities, one can take birth in a good family, in a good nation, one can get a beautiful body or can become very well educated or very rich. Otherwise you cannot answer this question. Why some people are born in this way, why are some... You cannot answer. Then nobody can give a good answer. Why is this person a king and you are not a king? Oh, I was born in that family. But why did you take birth in that family? They cannot answer. But we know now, based on Vedic culture, that it's all based on our previous life activities or karma. We see therefore that in different places, in different planets, there are different standards of life, bodily features and educational statuses, all awarded by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, according to pious or impious activities. So if you are very pious, you get to take birth in a heavenly planet. If you are very impious, you get to take birth in the lower planetary system and suffer the consequences. Or within the same planet, in a very bad situation, right? You may take birth in a desert that is moving towards Beijing, like that. You know? Yeah, it's like that. Or you can be a lizard in a desert. Why? Because of your impious activities. So therefore, the varieties of life develop not by chance, but by pre-arrangement. There is a plan. Krishna always has a plan, which is already outlined in the Vedic knowledge. One has to take advantage of this knowledge and mold his life in such a way that at the end, especially in the human form of life, he may go back home, back to Godhead by practicing Krishna consciousness. The theory of chance can best be explained in the Vedic literature by the words Agyata Sukriti. Now this is an amazing way Prabhupada talks about theory of chance, which refers to pious activities performed without the actor's knowledge. And this Agyata Sukriti usually means you are doing something to a devotee connected with Krishna. But these are also planned, Prabhupada says. For example, Krishna comes like an ordinary human being. He comes as a devotee like Lord Chaitanya, or he sends his representative, the spiritual master or pure devotee. This is also the planned activity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They come to canvas and educate, and thus a person in the illusory energy of the Supreme Lord gets a chance to mix with them, talk with them.
We talked about it in Gita Nagari. You see, when the devotee will move, when they go on a book distribution, whether they will take a right turn or a left turn, it is Yadrichaya. Nobody knows. Somehow or other.
Somehow or other will happen.
But now Prabhupada is saying it is all planned.
It is planned means the devotee is sent there by Krishna. But the other living entity, it's his choice to take it up or not. If he sees, if he takes it up, then he gets...
Prabhu, if the book distributor is turning left,
Yes.
and the devotee, the other person is on the right hand side, then he missed the chance.
Yes,
right?
he missed the chance.
Then how is it planned? It is not planned then.
Plan is that devotee is there. Plan of Krishna is to send devotees, that's all.
Once I was on book distribution and we were singing and had a book in hand.
one black lady crossed the road, gave $1. I said, take this book. She took the book and again crossed the road and went back.
Yeah.
So she saw the Sankirtan, she crossed and came to us to give
The
$1
plan
donation.
is not the person looking for the devotee. The plan is this person is there.
Is there.
That's the plan. My plan is to send all these people here.
Devotees.
Yes, that's my plan. So that is what Prabhupada is saying. The Lord has His plan. Whether we take it up is our choice. Whether we miss or not is another
What
choice.
she's asking is what determines whether that person is facing the devotee or not, right?
Again, that is in Bhagavad Gita. It is
Somewhere.
with the mercy of the Lord. If you get the mercy, whichever way you turn, there will be some devotee. Then the other one is Purva
So then,
Karma.
Prabhu, it is all planned, then how it is somehow or other, then it is
No,
not
it's
somehow or
not.
other.
You see, you don't seem to. You always trap yourself in this kind of thinking. You know, you box yourself and say it's
I
all
have a
planned.
very box thinking,
Yeah.
Prabhu. This way means this way only.
Yeah.
I cannot move right or left.
No, you're not thinking properly. That's my point. You know, it's not that the plan of the Lord is to save people. Okay, then her question is different, and you're jumping the gun already. Based on your previous association with devotees, you continue in this life. And now that can be, if Krishna has a special affection for you because your father is a pure devotee, then he will directly give you mercy. There's a chance like that. So there are situations like that based on Purva Karma or pious activities. Now, if you are always a nice person, you qualify to have a mercy, but not necessarily you will take it up. Do you understand? So the Lord arranges for you to have the opportunity to meet a devotee, but not necessarily that He forces you to take
Book.
the book. Right? So it's your choice there.
Now you said forces you to take a book. Now that is
It is not.
I
independence.
didn't say He
Minute.
forces
It does
you.
not.
I mean,
He does
it's
not
an
force.
opportunity.
If you are
Right? Who forces you? The book distributor is there. He never forces you. And that's what I say. He never forces. It's up to you. The Lord never forces
you
anybody.
will get the chance, but then up to you.
It's
as
free
a
will.
whether you
You
take
have
it
a
or not,
chance.
That will be your minute independence.
So you always have a choice. So it's not like it's a fixed plan for. The plan is to save everybody. Right? So just like the plan is to give inoculation for the whole city, but how many people will come and take the
It's their
inoculation?
choice.
Right? The plan is there. It's not that it's everybody is forced to do it. Now they are forcing by law, but the idea is not force. So similarly, when the Lord sends different people to help, the devotee goes and asks. Right? When you go out on books, we never force people. So it's good for you. That's all. So this is what Agyata Sukriti is. We are creating a
Opportunity for them to
Good.
get the book.
opportunity or a good auspiciousness for that person. Okay, so there's no forcing that. Correct or not? If you give somebody a prasadam, and they take it, are you forcing? Now, this material world forces us to think why we are suffering. That is there.
Everyone is.
The material nature is like that. So if you are full, you never think you are suffering. If you are covered really heavily, then you don't think you are suffering. But in reality, a sane person will know he is suffering in every situation in the material world. So then he will ask himself, why am I suffering? This is what Sanatana Goswami asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Why am I suffering? I am supposed to be so learned. I don't even know who I am. So that is a sane person's intellect will come to that conclusion. There must be something.
So some more clarification. Let's say somebody is walking on the road, right? So why would he face a devotee? Like, is it because of his own previous pious activities that Lord arranges
That is
to be the
agnostic.
devotee? Or is it by chance that it happens that some more devotee is there and he meets? So is there Lord's pre-arrangement for that particular devotee? Like, specific interest?
Both can be true.
Or is it by chance?
So what did I say?
Okay.
Both can be true. Now, maybe you don't even have you are not even a
Yes,
pious
yes.
person. I can come and give you the book still,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
So I create your
Good
Right.
karma.
Good
That's
karma.
beginning.
Yes.
Prabhu, did you read the document which Maharaj sent after Gita Nagari on faith? He sent it to everyone.
not me.
Oh my God, that was the most difficult one. Till now, I don't get it. Every sentence, it's like that only. In that, Bhakti Vinod Thakur says that it is because of your pious activities.
Yes.
And then again, it is based on the same verse, Yadrit Chaya,
Yeah.
Mat Katha.
Somehow or other. Yes.
Somehow
That's
or
why I
other.
say that is my free will. I can go and give to whoever I want from my point of view. But at the same time, Krishna can arrange for some individuals to meet me also, because they deserve it.
Okay.
And then he can also allow certain people who are pious to at least see me. But not necessarily they will come to me. It's up to them again. So those who continue the process will come to me.
So beginning you give by
Yes.
chance.
So by chance I will give whoever I meet.
Mm.
Which is what Prabhupada wants us to do when we go out of books, because we are creating their good fortune.
Yeah, that's good.
Just
That
the
is
first
the
time
mercy.
You asked first time thing, you asked the question.
That's the mercy.
The first time, devotee is given bhakti.
Yes, Prabhu, मेरे
That's
को
what
ये
Prabhu
नहीं
is-
समझ में आता. I don't get this point.
That's what Prabhu is
I don't
saying.
get it.
Mercy is not conditional. It's yadrachya.
But then, Prabhu, I don't want to argue, but yes, there is a point that pious activities are also playing a role in that.
Not
right?
necessarily. As I told you, you can be very pious and still not be Krishna conscious.
No, somebody can give book to a very simple person also, right? Why should he be pious? He can be a drunkard or somebody, right?
Jagavada.
No, you don't confuse the way she is thinking. When you all add, she is totally confused. Her point is pious activity. That's how she is concluding. Pious activity means you will get this thing. Not necessarily. Not
If you
necessarily.
do millions of paths,
Yeah, you won't get Krishna. It's not because you are doing piety you get Krishna conscious. No.
Yeah. Bhakti has got no connection with
Please hold on. It's through mercy. Mercy of either Krishna or his devotees. And that mercy is independent. Right? If I see I like you, I'll give you. But it's based on my,
Free will.
shut up, my own feelings at that moment. I'm in the street, I see you are a nonsense person, I may walk away. Right? So it's the mercy of the devotee. So that's one. The other thing is the mercy of Krishna. That is different. Mercy of Krishna, because you could be in your last life be a great devotee. So this life you may be doing some nonsense, and then Krishna forces you to have a certain situation, like in the case of Bilva Mangal Thakur.
Yeah.
Okay, so that Krishna arranges for him. So try to understand, there are situations there where Krishna takes charge, there are situations where the devotee, out of his magnanimity, you can say, decides to give a book to someone, beautiful girl I'll give, ugly one I don't give. Like that. There are situations like that, you see. So that is your mercy. And that mercy is not dictated. Krishna gives us that free will to give to whoever we please. And he will make us also give to this person, this person. Like Srila Prabhupada. He was forced by his friend to come and see Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, right? Huh?
Narendra.
Yeah, Narendra. His name.
That's his rule.
I didn't do it. But it was
Right. Even though we from now we say, oh yeah, he's pure, but still he was forced. That means Krishna arranged for that situation for him to meet his spiritual master.
that person will get a lot
Of course.
benefit.
Of course.
Would have gone back to God.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so it is not like the theory of chance by the atheists, like everything suddenly. No, there are many reasons that the Lord may favor One who's very pious and following, he may favor, just like in the case of the king Nirga. Right? He was very pious, but he made some karma kanda mistakes. But still, why the Lord came to help him? Right? So the Lord has affection for some pious king because they are good. He may show some mercy. Similarly, with the case of Prithu Maharaj, the Lord came, but he waited to see how he prays and glorifies. Then once he was convinced that he has a good nature, and I mean the Lord knows, but anyway, he wanted to make him speak nicely. Then he gave him his blessing. So there's always this test. Also, there's always tests that you go through in life that will make sure whether how often you turn to Krishna in your difficulty, right? Or how often you depend on yourself. So all this over many, many lifetimes becomes Sukriti. There's another reason that's given. This Sukriti that you are saying, the piety, it is not just in one lifetime. It accumulates many until it becomes Shraddha. So that beginning of Shraddha depends on you being pious in the beginning. Or you don't have, or you may have piety from previous life, and then you may be a demonic person in this life, and then you met a devotee who can argue so well, and you are like, this makes sense because of that, and then your Shraddha develops like that. So Shraddha takes many lifetimes sometimes to mature, and then you take up the process and surrender like that. So it's not that's one pathway, and another pathway is your mercy. So you see, some people only preach to certain group of people. Some people, like Srila Prabhupada, preach to everybody like that. So that's his magnanimity. If Prabhupada's disciples were saying, Prabhupada, we come from such a bad family, what piety we do in our previous life? Prabhupada said nothing. It was my mercy. So try to understand now, what is chance and what is not chance, what is mercy and what is sanctioned. Okay. Something you got inside?
Yes,
Yeah.
no, thank you.
Also, Prabhu, in this
Okay,
verse,
now you guys can say.
in this verse, Vasudevi Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayoja Janeti Asvairam Jnanam Chayat Ahitukum. It's like even though you do everything, unless it is a causeless mercy of the Lord, we won't be able to.
Yeah, it is causeless.
Causeless.
It's not forced. It's up to him, which is what she is saying. Indrichaya.
So what does the piety do in this? Like in this is all costless everything, but if somebody is pious, they qualify themselves a little bit more better to receive the mercy.
Well, piety means what? You'll be in the mode of
Goodness.
yes. So people in mode
So
of
more
this
receptive.
more receptive to spiritual life in general. Yeah.
But it's not necessarily they take up. It's
Not
again
necessarily
self-
they'll take up. They can get the opportunity.
Yeah.
Right? So many pious people come to your temple, right?
Okay.
Here. How many of them are serious? Right? You can't understand how it works.
So that urgency in their lives may be forced, may be arranged by Krishna.
Maybe we don't
sometimes,
know.
or
Yeah. If they take up the process, you can always say Krishna arranged for it. Yeah.
yeah, we give.
Yeah. In any case, any reaction anyone is going is actually sanctioned by the Lord. Remember,
Yeah.
Paramatma is sanctioned. So therefore it is sanctioned in that sense. But it's not that he planned everybody's life to go through that. No, it is we. The Lord says, right?
Yeah.
Udasini vad. I create this material world, but you guys are the one who create your own problems. And therefore you suffer according to it. And remember I said your karma could be many millions years ago. You did something horrible. But now you became a devotee, you may be going through a difficult time. But you may have murdered 10 child in the previous million years ago. Now you may have some difficulty, but you cannot think why I am suffering like that. You should understand, maybe I have done something and what I am going through may be minimized by Krishna. Like that. As a devotee we think like that. We should think like that. Right? Make sense? Okay. Agyata Sukriti. Yes. In any case, the best way for us, whether it's through Agyata Sukriti or through some pious activity or meeting devotees, or we are devotees from birth, the main thing is we should work under a spiritual master, spiritual authority, and then try to please Krishna. That's okay, Maharaj. They're playing. Cousins. Alright, text 28-29. Manur Uttana Padasya
Manur Uttana Padasya
Vasyapi Mahipate
Vasyapi Mahipate
Priyavratasya Rajarishe
Priyavratasya Rajarishe
Angasya Shmat Pitu Pitu
Angasyasmat Pitu Pitu
Idrishanam Adanyesham
Idrishanam Adanyesham
Ajasya Cha Bhavasya Cha
Ajasya Cha Bhavasya Cha
Praladasya Baleschapi
Praladasya Baleschapi
Nityam Asti Gadabrita.
Krityam Asti Gadavrita.
This is confirmed not only by the evidence of the Vedas but also by the personal behavior of great personalities like Manu, Uttanapada, Dhruva, Priyavrata, and my grandfather Anga, as well as by many other great personalities and ordinary living entities, exemplified by Maharaj Prahlad and Bali, all of whom are theists, believing in the existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who carries a club. So it's very hard when you say God, because how many people have actually seen God? Therefore he says this is not only in the Vedas, but there are people who have worked on this method and they have experienced it, including my grandfather, Anga, and all these other personalities, that they say he exists and he carries a club. Like that. So Prabhupada says that we have to take the Guru, Sadhu and Shastra as the principle by which we confirm things. Okay? Sometimes you don't know, you ask another sadhu. That's how you work, right? But Guru and Sadhu are actually one usually. They're the same. The Sadhu can say and you can confirm with Guru. Guru can say, you can confirm with Sadhu. And then you can confirm again in the Shastra. Sometimes the Guru may say something is not in the Shastra, or it is there but you cannot find it. Then you confirm with the Shastra Sadhu and he'll say, yes, I've also heard this, blah blah. Yeah, it's like. So that way you are always making sure that you are following properly. And generally we tend to speculate. I think that's what it is. But the thing is, sometimes if you think that there's maybe something else, you check the books first. Then if you cannot get the answer, you write to, right? That's what you do. You write to spiritual master or another devotee. I've heard this, I don't know what to say, please educate me. So that's how we understand. And in your own life you can become saintly. The way you become saintly is you follow yes, read the scripture, follow the 4 regulative principles, what Prabhupada has set up, and give people what you think has helped you. You can say, I'm not pure devotee, I'm not this, I'm not that, but I know these things help me. So I'm giving it to you out of kindness. They may say, I'm going through so much difficulty. But you can say, look, yeah, all these difficulties I also went through, but now I can understand, I can see clearly why I'm going through. And then they'll say, why? So this is the book I read, and this is what I do, this is the mala. I chant and I read and I ask. I go to the temple. This is what has helped me in my life. So then they're like, I don't believe all this God. So you don't believe, but you're asking me now, and I'm telling you what helped. So who are you going to believe now? The person who's already gone through what you're going through, or your mind. So that is preaching also for their benefit. So they may say, okay, let me try it. No, like that. Yeah. Of course, before you give them that, you give them prasadam. So they are receptive. Take some drink, say some cookies. Okay, now let me listen to your problem. Right? And somebody comes, I want to talk to you, I want to tell you what happened. No, first take some prasad, then we'll talk. You say, no, I don't feel. No, at least drink some prasad. And they say, no, if you're not going to take Krishna prasad, then why should I listen to you? Right? So that when they take, they get purified, they become calm, they'll understand, they'll speak properly. Otherwise, it's just whatever mental thing they are in situation. So we should always follow the great personalities. Like Prabhupada, if you read Prabhupada's books, particularly you can read Satsvaru Maharaj, Leelamrita, you can see, right, how he went through his life, how much difficulties he had also. But he never gave up on Krishna. He never denied Krishna and it didn't exist. So similarly, we also have to always accept that, yes, Krishna is there. Even when they were trying to get Juhu Beach, where the dacoits came, the Gundas came to fight, Prabhupada never gave up hope. Never gave. He never said, why Krishna is allowing. No, he said, we'll fight. Happy are the Kshatriyas who look forward to a fight that comes
unplanned.
Right?
Maharaj is saying that if Prabhupada prayed to Krishna, he just hold tight, I'll make a palace for you.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Hold tight.
It's interesting.
Prabhupada said it was a good fight.
It was a good fight, yeah. So he saw it as, okay, Krishna is, wants me to get in, this guy is in the way, let me see what I can do, like that. So in that way we should accept Krishna and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and try to overcome our own difficulties. Difficulties are there because we see it as difficulties.
So, in this, taking that as an example, lot of other devotees also, maybe they are not at the level of Prabhupada, but they also might see that, okay, let me also fight, because whatever I believe is to be the truth.
True.
So how do we understand that who is true, because we might see these things happening around us?
So generally in such situation, the highest authorities have
Let them decide. Let them decide.
Have the highest say. So whatever they say, whether it's favorable for you or not, you have to accept. Then you are following the authority. And Prabhupada said, if the highest authority make a mistake, they will fall down. But you will be protected. So we have to understand, sometimes it's difficult. Yeah, you fight, and then when you see there's too much resistance, you have to understand there's a higher
Purpose.
higher purpose, higher plan is behind it, and you are nobody. So Hare Krishna. Okay. It's like in meetings also, right? Every devotee has different opinion. You say this is the best, and then like 10 devotees against you, and 3 or 4. Then you have to say, if that's what Krishna wants, he must be speaking through that, which means you become submissive to the Lord's desires. Right? And you take the role like maybe Krishna is speaking. Then Krishna in your heart knows why you are deciding like that. So you're protected. Say, Lord, okay, so this is what your plan is. I'll take it. It's hard, but it's something you have to practice. But the principles are the same, regardless. Practice is another thing, but principle is always the same. So you should know these 12 personalities: Mahajana, right? Brahma, Lord Shiva, Narada Muni, Manu, Swambhu Manu, Kumaras, Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, Yamaraj, Bhishma, Janaka, Shukadev Goswami, and Kapila Muni. This is in the 6th canto.
So that's a practical question. Like, so let's say somebody is doing some service and there are some obstacles. So at that moment, whether to fight or whether to submit?
Yeah, what do you think is the best thing? What
the
are you
best way
doing?
we can serve
Okay, what are you doing? Yes, what is the best way to serve Krishna at that moment with this kind of situation? Yeah. Generally, the best thing is to tolerate. Then you can bring it up the matter to the authority and say, this is the situation I face. I relented, but I want to know what you expect me to do in future. And if they say, I let them do, okay, fine, you if it's wrong, you take the reaction because you are the authority. I'm only your follower. I'm under your protection. So the principles you have to understand properly. Then you can function in the environment. Right? Correct or not? That's how it is. If you don't know how to drive, if you come from India, you drive on the wrong side. Huh? So here you say, no, this is how I was taught in Dharma Bhumi. So I was driving. Right? Then they will catch you and throw in prison, and you come out, you drive again in the same place. No, this is the way we were taught. That's the principle you have to know. Okay, the principle in this country is on the opposites. I'll do that for now. And you can write to the legislators and say this is a stupid way to drive. But they'll say, no, this is how we want to drive. Then you have to accept. It's a crude example, but it at least tells you that the authorities are there. So we follow and everybody is peaceful. If you drive on the other side, it's chaos. Creates problems. Text 30. Dauhitradim rite mrityu
Dauhitradim rite mrityu
Sochyan dharma vimohitan
Sochyan dharma vimohitan
Varga swarga pavarganam
Varga swarga pavarganam
Prayenaikatmya hetuna
Prayenaikatmya hetuna.
Although abominable persons like my father, Vena, the grandson of death personified, are bewildered on the path of religion, all the great personalities like those mentioned agree that in this world the only bestower of the benedictions of religion, economic development, sense gratification, liberation or elevation to the heavenly planets is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So remember, he's now emphasizing Vishnu or Narayan or Krishna as the worshipable person. Nothing they should think is happening on its own. It's all under the
will of the Lord.
Yes, the will of the Lord. The will of the Lord, or control of the Lord. Nobody can bestow good fortunes to you. Even if the demigod wants to give, he is allowed to give by the Supreme Lord. That's how it is. It's not that they, I know, the Paramatma is even in their hearts, so he's sanctioning it. Right? So we should see. So here he is condemning his own father. Okay? Because he accepts that. Sometimes people don't like to accept that their relatives are bad or they are, because blood is thicker than water. Right? That is the principle. Oh, my family members, so what? They are good. I know this because there's a devotee whose son is not favorable, nice person but not favorable, in the sense that he'd rather take drugs and alcohol and other things. But the devotee who will never do anything to correct his son, because it's his son. Right? The best way for the son is he should take him, put him into rehab, and then